sectional or to the Class 2A state tournament at Owensboro by virtue of a 34-31 win over Mason County. Thus, the Phillies will be taking on Rowan County in the first round of the Class 2A state tournament that will be in Owensboro next Friday at 7:30. When I told you 6:30 before, I'd forgotten that Owensboro is on different time than we are. So their 6:30 is our 7:30. So there you go. Well, in this second game, it's also a three-team tournament. Back on Wednesday, Mason County defeated Bourbon County 76-42 here on the Hilltop in the semifinals to earn a spot in the championship game. Meanwhile, much like the Phillies, the Thoroughbreds drew a bye in the semifinal round and received an automatic berth in the title contest. Both Harrison County and Mason County are playing pretty well right now, with Mason County having won 5 of its last 6 contests, with Harrison County having won 4 games in a row. The winner of this contest will punch their ticket to the Class 2A state tournament at Owensboro next week, when they will take on either Callaway County or Webster County at 3 o'clock next Thursday in the quarterfinals. The Lakers and the Trojans played each other earlier this afternoon to determine who would advance from that particular section on to the Class 2A state. Well, here in our second game, both Harrison County and Mason County are going through their pregame warm-ups. We invite you to stay tuned as we'll come back and take a closer look at both Harrison County and Mason County. You're listening to Thoroughbred Basketball on WCYN Sports. Harrison County and Mason County about 13 minutes away from the tip-off of tonight's game. Well, Mason County comes in with a pretty good record of 12-3. The Royals won their first 4, then lost to Pikeville at the Mike Murphy Classic there at the Fieldhouse, 65-56. They then won 3 games in a row before losing to Betsy Lane in the second round of the Pikeville Invitational Tournament. At that point, that's when Mason County went on its current roll of winning 5 of the last 6, with the only loss in that time period coming to Collins in the semifinals of the Mason County Invitational Tournament back last week. The Royals are coached by Brian Kirk, the former Augusta Star, who is now in his 4th year at the helm of the Royals. Their top scorers, one of them is a junior, Terrell Henry, who's averaging over 24.5 points per game, including a career-best 44 in a win at Scott last month. Also led in scoring by senior Nate Mitchell, who's averaging 17 points a game. Henry and Mitchell are considered to be 2 of the top 10 players in the 10th region. Back at the end of December, Henry scored his 1,000th career point, becoming the 26th Royal to join that exclusive club. Henry, if you'll remember, also a fine football player on the Royals football team, a good linebacker who had 40 tackles last fall. Henry also leads the team in field goal percentage as he's making a very good 65% from the floor. Meanwhile, Mitchell is their long-range threat as he's making 36% of his shots from beyond the arc. The top rebounder this year for the Royals is junior Philip Beerley. He's averaging 7.5 rebounds per contest. This is a very good Mason County offensive team. They like to push the tempo and run up and down the floor, averaging over 69 points a game. In fact, they have scored at least 70 points in 11 of their 15 games this year, going 10-1 in those particular contests. And that stretch of 70 points scored includes 9 of the last 10 contests in which they've done that very same thing. From the floor, they do the job, hitting 49% from three-point range as a team. are making 33% of their long-range shots. And from the free throw line, getting it done as well, making 70% from the charity stripe. The only thing about the Royals is they really have not been challenged in very many close games this year. In fact, only 5 of their 15 games have been decided by 10 points or less. And interestingly enough, despite the fact that they have a good overall record of 12-3 in close games, games decided by 10 points or less, their record is just 2-3. Something to think about should this game go down to the wire. Meanwhile, Harrison County is on a roll with 4 straight wins, including the championship of the Henry County Invitational Tournament. The team is starting to walk with just a little bit of swagger after an overtime win over Spencer County in the title game of that tournament. Caden Custard, our fine sophomore point guard, is really starting to play much more in control. Is he perfect yet? No. There were a couple of times against Spencer County where he went in where he shouldn't have been, but it's getting better, much, much better. Meanwhile, Braylon Hinton, who at the first part of the year seemed like he didn't have a shot he didn't like, is becoming more selective on his shot selections, which has improved his game. He's also playing better defense, as Coach Brooks mentioned at our roundtable last week. Meanwhile, J.D. Kendall, he's learning how to play the post efficiently when the Breds go with a quote-unquote smaller lineup. J.D., of course, 6'5", not really all that small, but when we do go small, he does a good job in the post. Meanwhile, Mason Smiley, Richard Harris, and Garrett Wilson are providing quality depth coming off the bench. In fact, Harris had a career-best 16 points in the championship game win over at Henry County when they played Spencer County. Still, the one thing that we're missing, that we really need to be a top-notch team, not just in this region but in the state as well, we have got to get better help from our bigs inside. For whatever reason, they're just a little bit slow coming on, but they're both talented kids, and I believe strongly that eventually they will come to fore and get into the game plan. It's just that sometimes it seems like no matter what the sport, your big guys have a tendency to come along slower, and so I'm not worried about Blaine or Will. Eventually they will come along and make a major contribution to this basketball team. Well, right now both teams are going through some more pregame paces. In fact, Mason County is about to go back to the locker room. So we'll invite you to stay tuned as we'll take a break and then come back and give you the starting lineups of tonight's game between Harrison County and Mason County. You're listening to the pregame show sponsored by Cynthiana Hardee's on WCYN Sports. Alrighty, back here at the Hilltop. Let's take a look now at the starting lineups for both Harrison County and Mason County in this Class 2A sectional championship game. First for the Royals, 12-3 on the year, as we said, coached by Brian Kirk. At a guard, a 6'3 senior, number 1, Nate Mitchell. Mitchell averaging 16.4 points per game. Another guard is Christian Walton, a transfer from Bryan Station. He wears the number 5, is a 5'10 junior, averaging 9.2 points a game. At the third guard position is Mason Butler. Butler wears the number 10. He's a 5'10 senior, averaging 3.7 points a contest. At one of the forwards is one of the better players in the 10th region and Mason County's top player as well and scorer, Terrell Henry. Henry wears the number 2. He's a 6'3 junior, averaging 24.6 points a game. And at the other forward, a 6'3 junior who wears the number 35, Philip Beerley. Beerley averaging 9.2 points per contest. So once again for the Royals, it'll be Mitchell, Walton, Butler, Henry, and Beerley. Mason County averaging offensively a healthy 69.3 points per game on defense, giving up 61.3 points per contest. Now for the Harrison County Thoroughbreds, 7-4 on the young season. At a guard, Harrison County's leading scorer, Caden Custard. Custard wears the number 1. He's a 6-foot sophomore, averaging 14.6 points a game. The other guard is Clay Carpenter. Carpenter wears the number 24. He's a 6-foot senior who's averaging 7.5 points a game. At one of the forwards is Braylon Hinton. Hinton's a 6'3 sophomore that wears number 5. He's gotten his average to 8.1 points a game. The other forward is J.D. Kendall. J.D. wears the number 21. He's a 6'5 junior, averaging 7.5 points a game. And in the middle, a 6'4 senior, number 15, Blaine Biddle. Biddle averaging 4.9. So once again for the Breds, it'll be Custard, Carpenter, Hinton, Kendall, and Biddle. Thoroughbreds averaging 58.1 points a game. On defense, giving up 55.7 points per contest. So there are your starting fives for tonight's championship game. Well, as the teams continue to get some final words of wisdom from the locker room, we'll take it back to the station to Bruce Templeton from Unity Christian Church with tonight's pregame prayer. All righty, Harrison County and Mason County about to play each other for the 88th time. Mason County leads the all-time series 57-30. Here on the Hilltop, they've been very successful, going 22-11 in the 33 games played between the two here on the Hilltop. Last year, the two teams got together right here on this floor, and it was an exciting one, but came out wrong as Mason County won a 59-56 decision in overtime. One of the more disappointing games we had last year for sure. The series actually began back in February of 1962 after the Mason County schools all consolidated. In that first game, Mason County came to the Hilltop and went home a winner, 84-78. So there's your history of this series that sometimes throughout the years has been very competitive, but as you can tell by the record, Mason County's had the upper hand on those times when things may not have been quite so for our Thoroughbreds. Well, other winter sports we'll talk about the Breds first. On Tuesday, we'll be back here on the Hilltop to host Covington Scott. On Friday, we're scheduled to play Campbell County. However, having said that, if we win tonight, then we'll be playing on Thursday, and that game against Campbell County on the Hilltop on Friday probably won't take place because I don't think they'd want to have those two games back-to-back on different nights when we have such long travel, but we'll wait and see. Same thing with Saturday when the Breds are scheduled to be the first half of a boy-girl doubleheader over at Nicholas County. So those two games next Friday and Saturday, kind of question marks depending on how things go tonight. As far as the Phillies are concerned, as we mentioned before, earlier tonight, knocking off Mason County 34-31 in the girls' Class 2A sectional championship game. And thus, our ladies get to go on down to Owensboro, where they'll take on the Lady Vikings of Rowan County next Friday night at around 7:30 or so. That's 7:30 our time. On Monday, the Phillies will be back here on the Hilltop to take on the Broncos of Frederick Douglass. Then on Wednesday, we'll take the trip to Stanton to take on the Powell County Lady Pirates. And just like the Breds, depending on how things go tonight and for the girls' next weekend will determine if we play over at Nicholas County as part of that girl-boy doubleheader. The big news today, though, the wrestling team keeps on rocking. They stay undefeated at 20-0 as they knock off 9th-ranked Walton Verona in the sectional duels. Great job, Coach Ashbrook. Great job, wrestlers. Keep it going, especially on Wednesday when we'll host the County Line Duel as Bourbon County, boo, will come to town. Now, next Saturday, the boys and girls will split. The boys will host the Rumble on the Hilltop, while the girls will take off down to a tournament at Taylor County. The archery team today was at Mason County, and next Saturday, they'll be involved at the Bourbon County Classic. Meanwhile, the bowling team will be in action at Galactic Alley tomorrow when they will take on Fleming County. Well, we're about to have the national anthem, so what we're going to do is take a listen to that, after which we'll take a break and then come back with the tip-off of tonight's sectional championship game between Harrison County and Mason County. But right now, let's bring you our national anthem.
Fans from Harrison County are asked to sit in the section of bleachers across from the benches. Fans from Mason County are asked to sit in the section of bleachers behind the benches. Caution tape is marking the area the fans are asked to sit behind. As you saw on the doors you entered, it is recommended that masks be worn at all indoor events to keep our student athletes on the floor the entire season. Let's remember this is about our student athletes. Thank you in advance for your help. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we please ask that you would stand and remove your hats for the playing of our national anthem. The colors are being presented by the cadets from the Harrison County High School's Air Force Junior ROTC program. Carrying the U.S. flag and commanding is Cadet Major Nathan Nickerson. Carrying the Kentucky flag is Cadet Major Carter Moore. And the guards are Cadet Major Fraser Daly and Cadet Technical Sergeant Miles Bryant.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Angelo's Pizza, home of the Stromboli, located at 27 South of Cynthiana and 1311B West Shelby Street in Falmouth. They open at 10:30 each day, and they would love to feed you today. You know about their Strombolis. Did you know they have daily specials, including that pizza, the salad, sandwiches, and a whole lot more? Check out Angelo's Pizza, 27 South of Cynthiana and 1311B West Shelby Street in Falmouth, or call
Alrighty, back here on the hilltop, the starting quintet for Mason County being introduced. Harrison County starting five will follow after, joined now by Mike Aldridge and Mike. Mason County, a very good team. Harrison County, a very good team. I think the biggest key for our guys is to maybe try to contain Terrell Henry.
I think that it's important that we play our tempo and not let them get us running up and down the floor. But play within ourselves, do what the coach, I'm pretty sure Coach Brooks wants us to control the clock and control the time of possession so that we can take good shots.
Right.
Because the way to control Terrell Henry is not let them have the ball. So guard to score when we have it for them. So we need to, I think that's probably what we need to do. We'll see. We match up pretty well with them as far as size and quickness. It looks like to me that other than Henry, we probably are in good shape.
Yes.
So we'll see how. It'd be interesting to me how they defend Custer.
Yes.
Because I don't think that looks number 10. He's going to be able to do it. So I don't know. We'll see what happens when. But if we play like Coach Brooks wants us to play, don't try to do too much stuff outside of the offense, I think we'll be all right.
All right, one change in our starters. Will Furnish is actually starting tonight instead of Blaine Biddle. Will, a 6'10 sophomore averaging 4.8. He'll be jumping center to open up the game. Across the midcourt stripe will be Terrell Henry for Mason County. So we're about to get this game underway from here on the hilltop, the championship of the Class 2A sectional here in section number 5. Tap is up, and it's going to be controlled by Harrison County as the ball actually hit the ground. J.D. Kendall with the basketball in the front court. Mason, man-to-man. In the corner, Carpenter in front of the Mason County bench. He'll throw it into the backcourt. Custer chases it down, but an early turnover and not the way you want to get started.
No, unforced turnovers is not the way you want to play.
Yeah. First game Harrison County's played, actually, since they won the Henry County Invitational against Spencer County last week. Lobbing the ball inbounds will be Walton. He'll get it into the hands of Butler. Butler now to Mitchell inside the center circle. Harrison County also playing man-to-man. A pass to the right side to Henry. Looks like Kendall's got the assignment to guard Henry tonight. He'll get in between the circles to Walton. Walton, the Bryan Station transfer, now kicks it up top. He'll get it to Butler. Butler to Mitchell from the foul line. Jump shot, good. So Nate Mitchell puts his team on the scoreboard first with a short jumper in the lane. 2-0 your score here early. We've played less than a minute. Into the front court come the Brads. Kendall gets the ball inside the center circle to Custard. Caden directing some traffic. He's being guarded man-to-man by Butler. And now they're going to say that we're going to have a foul called on Mason County. A little over-guarding that time by Butler. And I think that goes back to what you were talking about, Mike. They've got Butler on Caden. I don't know if he can stay with him.
He's hand-checking all the way up and down the floor, and then we threw the ball away again.
Now a steal by Henry. Goes coast to coast, but misses the layup. Rebound pulled down by Kendall. In the front court, a floater from the elbow by Custard is good. First tie of the ball game on the floater by Caden. And Harrison County has tied the score. 6:44 left here in the first quarter. In the front court with the basketball, Mitchell. Goes to the left side, now gets it back up top to Henry, to the right side to Butler. Butler thought about the three for a second, but then brought it back down, gets it back to Henry to the left side, gets the ball into the hands of Walton. Walton fires an NBA three, good. Okay, well now we know we're going to have to extend the defense against Christian Walton as he buried that tray from deep downtown. 6:19 left to go in the first quarter. Mason County leads 5-2. Carpenter with the basketball. Backdoor cut to Caden Custer, who lays it up and in. Give the assist to Carpenter. The points to Custard. And Harrison County is back to within one at 5-4. Nice pass that time by Carpenter.
Good pass.
In the front court on the left side, long range is Walton. Walton races to the basket. His shot partially blocked by Furnish. And Will brings down the rebound as well. Into the front court come the Brads down by one. In the corner, Kendall fires a three. In and out. Rebound is picked up by J.D. Goes back to the basket and lays it in. Nice follow of his miss that time by Kendall as Harrison County has taken their first lead of the game at 6-5. In the front court with the basketball on the right side is Mitchell. He'll get it to Henry. Over to the left side, long range. Walton has it now. He'll kick it back up top to Henry. To the right side, a long three by Butler. Bounces off the front of the rim, no good. And Furnish comes down with yet another rebound. He'll give the ball to Custard. Harrison County, for the first time in the game, with the lead and the ball. So we approach the 5-minute mark of the first quarter. Custard in between the circles, gets it to the left side to Hinton. Hinton drives baseline, cut off down low by Butler. He'll get the ball to the elbow to Carpenter. Carpenter, pull-up jumper, rims in there. That ball took about 10 revolutions around the basket, or maybe 5, before finally going in. Yes, good shot selection that time by Clay.
Hinton did a good job of not trying to do too much.
Right. He's getting better as far as his maturity with each passing game. With the basketball down by 3, Mason County on the baseline. Butler gets it up top to a wide open Beerley, who misses the tray, and this time Custard comes away with the rebound. He'll bring it into the front court. Now pulls up at the top of the key, gets it down the block to Furnish. His hook off the glass is good. Will puts his team up 10-5 with a little half hook, and that is a shot he should make all the time. In the front court as we approach the midway point of the first quarter, Mason County's Walton fires a 3. No good off to the left. And on the rebound, Custard hits the floor, and it's going to be called for the travel. Couple of subs coming in for the Reds. Blaine Biddle, 6'4 senior, averaging 4.9. Also Richard Harris in the game. Richard, a 6'4 senior, averaging 6.8 points a game. He had a career best 16 points in the overtime win over Spencer County in the Henry County Invitational Championship. Inbounds pass will come in this time to Walton. He'll get it back between the circles, this time to Henry. Henry standing inside the center circle. His team down 10-5. Gets it in the corner. Is a long 3 by Walton. Good. Second tray of the first quarter by Christian Walton. Gets his team back to within 2 at 10-8. In the front court with the basketball, and 3:44 on the clock is Carpenter. Looking for help. Finds Custard. Custard's now going to be fouled by Walton. That'll be Walton's first personal foul. 10-8, Harrison leads. 3:37 left to go in the first quarter of our championship.
See, had already taken Butler off for Custard and put Walton on.
Yeah, that took about 2 possessions to figure that one out.
Yep.
Inbounds pass will come this time to Custard. Custard now being tracked by Mitchell. Mitchell at 6'3", long arms. Custard brings the ball into the front court in between the circles to set the offense. Harris moves up to the high block to set a screen, but Custard uses the other elbow. Now a pass is picked off. Outlet pass goes from Walton to Mitchell, and Mitchell lays it in to tie the score at 10-10 after the steal. And now we're going to have a turnover by Harrison County. An unforced turnover again, Mike. We talked about this before. We got to stop that.
5 turnovers already for Harrison County.
Way too many. That will prompt a move by Coach Brooks as Mason Smiley checks in the game. Mason, a 6-foot sophomore, averaging 2.1. In the front court with the basketball, Walton. He'll get the ball to Mitchell for a 3, and the lead dies on the flange. Rebound pulled down by Caden Custard. Custard into the front court. His team tied at 10 with 2:58 left to go in the first quarter. Custard moves over to the left side, has his pocket picked, however, by Henry. Henry goes coast to coast and lays it in to put his team back out on top by a score now of 12-10. That's the first point scored by Henry in the game off of the steal. 2:37 on the clock here in the first quarter. Harrison County once again loses control of the basketball, but Smiley is there to pick up the loose ball. He'll bring it in the front court, gets it to Carpenter. Carpenter to the basket, shot no good, but a foul's going to be called on Beerley. That'll be Philip Beerley's first personal foul. Going to the line will be Carpenter for 2. Carpenter on the year, a 90% free throw shooter.
We were up 10-5 when we made the substitution,
Yeah.
so it's now 12-10.
First free throw is good to get the Thoroughbreds back to within 1 as J.D. Kendall returns to the floor. Also coming in the game for Mason County will be number 24, Braylon Hamilton. Hamilton, a 5'1 junior, averaging 6.1 off the bench. Trying to tie the score with his second free throw is Carpenter, and he does. Makes both of those free throws, and we're tied up for the third time in the game, this time at 12-12. Across the timeline into the front court comes Mitchell. Mitchell in between the circles to Henry, to the left side, long range to the new man Hamilton. Now to Walton, to Beerley. Pass down on the block. Now back out top to Beerley for the 3. Rims out. Rebound pulled down by Custard. Caden in the front court gets it in the corner to Kendall. Kendall down on the block to Biddle. Biddle to the basket. His shot's no good, but a foul is going to be called on Mason County. Foul is going to be on Hamilton. That'll be Braylon Hamilton's first personal foul, and we'll send Biddle to the line for the first time tonight.
That's allowed for
On the year,
15
Blaine is a
field.
59% free throw shooter. Harrison County Farm Bureau knows that if you want something protected, you keep it covered. First free throw, no good. Call 234-4514, and Dustin or Amy will get you covered out there at Harrison County Farm Bureau. Second free throw for the lead at the 2-minute mark by Biddle is also way off the mark. Barely grazed the net. So give the ball back to Mason County. Inbounds pass comes to Henry. He'll get it back to Walton. Walton already has hit a couple of trays. Be careful. Pass to the right side, long range to Mitchell. Mitchell wide open for a three. Bounces off the back of the rim, no good, and Kendall comes away with the rebound. One good thing, we're not allowing Mason any second chances.
No, they've
Cross timeline comes Kendall to Custard, back to Kendall. Kendall in the corner finds Smiley. Smiley brings it back out front to reset the offense on the near side. He'll now move to the wing, backs up, hands it off to Custard. Custard double team, looking for help, gets the ball to Carpenter, who flashes to the basket and misses the layup. Biddle there though for the putback, no. And this time coming down with the basketball is going to be Henry. Gotta make those close-in shots, fellas. Furnish comes back in the game, as does Braylon Hinton. Also for Mason County, Butler returns to the floor.
We took a bad shot there. Should have passed the ball off to Blaine to make the layup instead of shooting that and then missing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Cross timeline comes Mitchell. Score still tied at 12 as we reach the minute mark of this first quarter. Up top, Henry. Gets it on the right side, long range to Mitchell. Mitchell in the paint, kicks it to the near side to Hamilton. Hamilton goes to the basket, lays it in. Nice move that time by Braylon Hamilton to put his team back out on top, 14-12. Just a little driving layup. Under a minute to go. Harrison breaks the press. Custard gets it down low to Furnish, who lays up and in. Give Custard the assist as we're tied for the fourth time, this time at 14-14. In the front court with the basketball, Mason County. Up top, Mitchell has it. Pass to the near side to Butler. In the corner of Hamilton. Back up top to Mitchell. Mitchell drives, a floater in the lane, good. 6 first quarter points for Nate Mitchell. Puts his team back out on top, 16-14. 24 seconds on the clock. Hinton brings the ball into the front court. He's now being guarded by Butler. Crosses over his dribble, falls down, and now throws the ball into the backcourt. So another unforced turnover by the Thoroughbreds. Mason with makes that a 2-point lead. Has 14 seconds on the clock. Inbounds pass will come to Mitchell.
7 turnovers.
Too many against a good Mason County team. Right side, Walton, long range, back up top to Mitchell with 5. Back to Walton, back up top to Mitchell with 2. Hamilton, an NBA 3, drains it as the buzzer sounds. So at the end of one quarter of play, your score, Mason County 16. No, that's not right. Mason County 19, Harrison County 14. You're listening to Thoroughbred Basketball on WC1. All righty, back here at the Hilltop, Braylon Hamilton drains a high arcing tray as time runs out to put his team up by 5. This is Mason County's largest lead of this first half already. Cynthiana Hardee's has made from scratch breakfast options and the best burgers in town. Hardee's is a proud supporter of Breads and Phillies basketball. Mason will have the ball to begin the second quarter. Pass to the right side to Hamilton. Hamilton skip pass is picked off by Custard. Custard 1-on-2, stops and props from the elbow extended, misses the shot. Rebound's going to be pulled down by Henry. Henry races into the front court, gets it into the corner to Butler. Back up top to Mitchell, to the right side to Hamilton. Open for another three. Good. Going to have to get somebody over there to guard that man. He has 8 points, including 2 trays, and has put his team up 22-14. With the basketball, Harrison County needing a bucket, breaks the press. Hinton on the right side. They left him open for a three, but he turned it down. He'll get it back out top to Custard. Right now, Mason with their largest lead. A minute into this second quarter. Custard now drops the ball. Loose ball picked up by Walton. Walton down low to a wide open Mitchell who lays it in. And we need a timeout. And we're going to get a timeout. As Coach Brooks very unhappy with what he sees. Just a 30-second timeout. So we'll keep it right here, but we're just not running the game plan, it doesn't seem like.
There's no reason for Coach Brooks not to be upset.
Yeah.
8 turnovers to 1.
8. That's ridiculous.
They've shot the ball 18 times. We've shot it 12. We've made half of them.
Well, that's
but
good.
They've made half of them, too, and they shot more than half. So they've actually made 10 out of 18 from the field and 4 out of 9 3-pointers. So the only thing we're doing is out-rebound them. Of course, they're not getting any rebounds because we're throwing the ball away.
Right.
Or making the shot.
Right now, the visitors from Maysville on a 10-0 run. They've put them up by 10 points. Still at full court pressure. Smiley in the backcourt trying to bring the ball up the floor against Hamilton's defense. Mason gets across the timeline on the near side. Now drops the ball in the backcourt. So another unforced turnover. Come on, fellas. We're going to get blown out of this game early. Carpenter will check back in. If you've been thinking about a farm or machinery loan, call Michael Furnish with Farm Credit Mid-America at 859-254-2741 and learn how he can help you. With the basketball, Mitchell across the timeline. Drifts over to the far side, long range. Now gets it up top in between the circles to Butler, to the left side to Hamilton, down to the right side to Henry in the corner. Finds a new man in the ball game. That's Julius Booker. Booker, a 5'10", senior, averaging 3.6. Now racing to the basket is Mitchell and travels as Furnish got in his way.
It's the second turnover for him, and he's had both of them.
So maybe that's the break we're looking for. At least I hope so. We need something good to happen. The Thoroughbreds have not scored in the last 4 minutes. Carpenter with the basketball. Against the defensive Mitchell. Brings the ball across the timeline and falls down. And Mitchell takes it away. What's happening to us? Here's a pass down low to Booker. The ball's going to be shot no good, but a foul on Furnish. We look about as flat as we have since the Clark County game.
Well, we're dribbling too much.
22, Booker, shooting 2.
There's no. It's hard to explain why you turn the ball over and fall down out there in the middle of the floor.
Booker, who's hit just 1 out of 5 free throws, hits his first one. As Richard Harris checks back in, lead for the Royals extends to 25-14. Second free throw for Booker is no good, and J.D. Kendall will be there for the rebound this time. Holy cow. In the front court with the basketball will come the Thoroughbreds. Hinton from the corner, a three is no good. Offside rebound picked up by Harris, and as he goes back up, he's going to be fouled. So we got to do better.
At the line for Harrison, number 4, Harris, shooting 2.
Harris at the line for the first time tonight on the year. Richard, a 56% free throw shooter. At the 5:58 mark, his first free throw is on the way and good. We'll have another to try to get the deficit back down to single digits.
They outscored us by 20-5 since that substitution early in the first quarter.
Second free throw is also good by Richard. Harrison County has cut the gap back to 9 at 25-16. Now we need another defensive stop. Across the timeline with the basketball comes Henry. Pass to the right side to Mitchell. Mitchell in the paint, kicks it in the corner. Booker fires a three. Good. They're on fire from outside for sure here tonight. As the lead extends back out to 12 at 28-16 after the Booker tray. 5:33 left to go in the first half. With the basketball, Custard backs up, now goes down the baseline, dishes it off to Harris, who was not expecting it, and a charge is going to be assessed against Caden Custard. That'll be Custard's first personal foul. Perez just having a Murphy's Law type of
I
night.
mean, we're not laying down, but it's reminiscent of Clark County because
Yeah.
we're going one-on-one and not running the
Right.
offense.
And we better stop that or else this game will be over by halftime. Henry with the basketball, drives to the paint, puts up a little floater, and it's good. 4 points for Henry. Puts his team up by 14, 30-16. In the front court with the basketball, Hinton nearly traveled and now throws it away. Booker, 1-on-2 to the basket, falls down and drops it out of bounds. That'll prompt a move by Coach Brooks to bring Smiley back in. Also coming back into the game for Mason County will be Walton. Walton had those 2 early trays, then we started guarding him and he didn't score since. Inbounds pass comes to Custard. Harrison down 30-16 in the Class 2A sectional final.
Brian Station's bound to miss him.
Yeah, I'd say so. Kendall with the basketball. Now dribbles it off his leg, but retrieves the loose ball. Now Custard has it in front of the bench of Mason County. Drives in the paint, a floater from 10, bounces off, and Henry is there for the rebound. He'll get it in the front court quickly. Going to the basket is going to be a travel by Walton before he can get there. So Mason's starting to freelance a little bit. Beerley will check back in to try to bring some stabilization to the order.
They're freelancing. They've had no turnovers in the first quarter. They have 4 already in this one.
Starting to get a little bit happy with themselves, sounds like. Caden Custer gets the ball in the front court to Kendall. Kendall to Harris. Harris drives. Might have been a charge. No call. Harris now will lay it in. Richards' first bucket of the game gets his team back to within 12 at 30-18. 4:10 left here in the first half. In the front court, Mitchell with the basketball. Mitchell just yo-yoing the ball right now inside the center circle. Now dribbles it from one hand to another as Carpenter nears him. Now Mitchell makes a move to the near side, passes it back to the far side to Henry. Henry crosses over his dribble, gets it in the corner to Booker. Booker drives to the basket, and we're going to have a foul called on Harrison County. This time the foul is going to be against Kendall. That'll be JD's first. Going to the line for a couple of free throws, maybe, will be Booker. Now the officials getting together to discuss if it was a shooting foul or not.
James Cartridge said it wasn't.
Okay, well.
But he was wrong.
And they're going to say 2. So Booker back to the line where he just made 1 out of 2 not that long ago.
Well, that might be better off.
First free throw is good, however. He now has 5. That's already 2 above his season's average. 31-18. Second free throw for Booker is no good, but bringing down the offensive rebound is Walton. With the basketball out front. Pass down low to Beerley. Beerley back up top to Henry. Henry back to Beerley. Beerley drives, stops, puts up a 10-footer. It's no good, but another foul on Harrison County as they're just slicing and dicing us inside. That foul is going to be on Harris. That'll be Richards first.
Number 35, Beerley, shooting 2.
So going to the line will be Beerley. Beerley on the year is a 65% free throw shooter. The lefty's first free throw is good. That's his first point. Makes it 32-18. 3 on the clock. Second free throw rims out. Free throw miss is brought down by Kendall. He has 5 rebounds already here in the first half. Reds down by 14. We need a bucket. Mason Smiley gets the ball to Custard on the right side. Custard now almost mishandled it, but Smiley picked up the loose ball. Goes to the basket. His layup is going to roll off. No good. Rebound. Custard. Put back. Yes. Good offensive board work that time by Caden to get his team back to within margin of 32-20.
Carpenter's hard defense there caused him to turn the ball over.
So give the ball back to the Thoroughbreds. Butler checks back in for Mason County. 3:03 left here in the first half. Harrison County with the basketball. Kendall in the backcourt gets the ball inbounds, this time to Custard. Custard against the defensive Butler. Now gets the ball into the front court. Moves on down to the block. His shot off the glass is short, and the rebound pulled down by Henry. Henry in the front court finds Walton. Long range for a 3. Good. Third tray of the first half by Christian Walton. And the Mason County Royals up by their biggest margin at 35-20. Now as Custard races into the paint, he's going to fall down, but they're going to say it was because he was pushed by Butler. Unreal. Well, he's Butler's second personal foul. 2:37 left to go in the half. Harrison down by 15. From his own baseline, Carpenter lobs it to Harris. Harris now races past barely to the block. His shot's short. Richard gets his own rebound and puts it back up and in. Harris with 6 points now. Narrows the gap to 35-22. As Mason County goes to the basket, shot no good. And on the rebound, we're going to have a tie-up in between Custard and Walton. Possession arrow will give the ball back to the Thoroughbreds. I'd like to get this deficit down to single digits by halftime. Right now, the Breds down by 13.
Well, everybody's going one-on-one, both teams.
Kendall inbounds the ball to Carpenter. Yeah, once Mason County got a double-digit lead, they decided it was time to play in the playground.
Yep.
Carpenter moves to the left elbow, spins, gets the ball to Harris. Harris to the glass and puts it in. Nice pass that time by Clay. Harris now with 8 points here in the second quarter. And Harrison County down by just 11 now at 35-24. 1:55 left in the first half. Pass in the corner to Walton, open for another three-try. Air ball. Offside rebound picked up by Custard, and he is going to be fouled. Foul's going to be on Beerley. That'll be Philip Beerley's second personal. And Braylon Hamilton will come back into the ball game as we'll walk the other way and shoot some free throws. Treat yourself to some Snappy. Salads, chicken wings, sandwiches, and of course, Beast Pizza. Call 235-7627 right now. That's 235.
Snap.
Thank you. Custard at the line on the year. A 72% free throw shooter makes the first. He now has 7 points on the night and narrows the gap to 10. Second free throw upcoming for Custard with 1:48 left in the first half. Free throw up, free throw good. Checking in for Mason County for the first time, Carter McClanahan. McClanahan, a 5'9 sophomore, averaging a point a game. So Harrison County with a modest 6-0 run. Now trail 35-26 with the basketball. Mitchell across the timeline on the far side. Now moves to the hash mark. Gets up top to Hamilton. To the left side to the new man, McClanahan. McClanahan drives. Now kicks in between the circles to Henry to the right side in front of the stable. He'll get the ball to Walton. Walton to Hamilton. To the near side to Mitchell, long range. Mitchell drives. Picked up by Harris on the switch. Goes baseline. Kicks it over on the side to Walton. Walton back underneath the basket to Mitchell, who lays it in. Good ball movement that time by Mason to extend the deficit for Harrison back to double digits at 37-26. Here's a shot put up, no good. Rebound pulled down by Henry. Up the floor with the basketball come the Royals. In between the circles, Mitchell fires an NBA three off the flange, no good. Long rebound, comes all the way out to McClanahan. Now he'll get the ball to Hamilton, back to Mitchell, to the far sideline near the hash mark to Henry as Coach Kirk says, slow it down, let's go for one. Harrison County's man-to-man sneaks up a little bit. That's Kendall who's guarding Henry. Now Henry makes a move to the near side of the midcourt circle as the clock goes down to 32. 37-26, Mason County leads. They had a 10-0 run midway through this first half, which is the reason they've got this big lead. On the near side, long range is Mike that Walton. He's put the ball on his hip as the Thoroughbreds seem to be content to let the clock wind down. It's down to 11 seconds now as the ball goes back in the hands of Henry. Henry at the top of the key with 7, moves to the elbow with 6, kicks it back up top to Walton. Walton drives, puts a shot off the glass, no good, but with 2 seconds left, he's fouled and will go to the line for 2. That foul on Custard, that'll be Caden's second. So at the line, Walton for the first time tonight on the year, a 58% free throw shooter. Has 9 points on 3 threes.
Hate to see him bail a guy out like that, just flinging one up.
That's all he did. First free throw by the junior is on the way and good. A couple of subs for Mason. Booker returns. Also, Landon Seeley checks in the game. Seeley, a 6-foot sophomore, averaging 1.8. Another sub will be coming in for Walton after this second free throw, if he makes it with 2 seconds left.
50%, so he probably won't.
Let's hope not.
He did.
But he did anyway.
Also on the line for Mason County.
Now checking in
Royce.
for the Royals is 23. That's Logan Royce. Here's a shot at the buzzer by Custer that's off the mark. So we come to the end of the first half of play. Harrison County trailing 39-26. We invite you to stay tuned for our halftime show where we'll go over all the scoring and stats. This halftime show being sponsored by Joe Cochran at State Farm. But once again, from here on the hilltop in the Class 2A sectional championship game, your score, Mason County 39, Harrison County 26. You're listening to Thoroughbred Basketball on WC. Alrighty, back here at the Hilltop. Harrison County trails Mason County 39-26 here in the championship game. Game in which we had 4 ties and 2 lead changes early, but with the score knotted up at 14-14 after Will Furnish put in a half hook with about 3:42 left to go in the first quarter. That's when Mason County went on a 10-point run, turning that to a 24-14 Mason County lead with just a second under 7 minutes left to go in the first half. The Royals were able to get as much as a 15-point lead before settling into this current 13-point advantage. Taking a look at the scoring, first for Mason, they've already got 2 players in double figures, led by Christian Walton's 11, including 3 three-pointers. 10 points for Nate Mitchell. 8 points by Braylon Hamilton, who's come off the bench with a couple of trays. Also scoring, Julius Booker has 5, including a 3. And Terrell Henry, although we've held him to just 4 points, he does have 5 rebounds and at least 4 steals. The only other point scored by Mason in the first half was by Philip Beerley. Also playing but not scoring, Mason Butler, Carter McClanahan, Landon Seeley, and Logan Royce. For Harrison County, we got a couple of players with 8 points apiece. Both Cade and Custard and Richard Harris have that many. 4 points for Clay Carpenter and Will Furnish, and a couple of points for J.D. Kendall to round out the scoring. Also playing but not getting in the scorebook, Braylon Hinton, Blaine Biddle, and Mason Smiley. That's the way the individual numbers look. We'll take a break and come back and have Mike take a look at the team stats following this timeout. But once again, your halftime score, Mason County 39, Harrison County 26. You're listening to Thoroughbred Basketball on WC.
High School, where the Reds trail 39-26 at halftime in Mason County, and here's how that happened. The Mason County Royals have shot the ball 28 times, made 14 of them for 50%. They're 6 out of 13 from the three-point line for 46%. They've made 5 out of 8 foul shots for 62.5%. 5 turnovers, all in the second quarter, and only 8 rebounds. There's a story behind that, and we'll get to that in a minute. 6 defensive and 2 offensive rebounds. For the Thoroughbreds, they've shot the ball 24 times. That's 4 fewer. Made 10. That's 4 fewer. They've made they're 0 for 3 from the three-point line, so they're 41.7% from the field. The Reds are 6 out of 8 from the foul line for 75%. They have 12 turnovers, 17 rebounds, 12 defensive, 5 offensive. Now, the 12 turnovers means 12 times we didn't shoot the ball. So Mason County couldn't get any rebounds. They were busy stealing the ball. So there's our weakness right there. 7 more turnovers. You know, if they score on half of them, there's your deficit.
There's your 10. Yeah.
Yeah. So we just got to quit turning the ball over. And a lot of that is once we get behind, and we were ahead 10-5, and then it was 25-14.
Okay.
So
15-4.
Yeah. So when we started getting behind, rather than settling down and going to run our offense, we started going individually and turning the ball over, which none of that works.
No.
It works well for them. Mason, thankfully, has decided to keep the ball away from Henry.
Yes.
Which why that is, I don't know. Somebody told these other boys they could shoot. Yes, they're wrong. They need to, just think if they were working the ball and trying to give Henry, to get Henry involved in the offense.
Yeah,
score.
really.
So, although some of that may be JD's defense, I think he's playing pretty tough on him on defense. But still, I wouldn't think that JD matches up all that hot with Henry if we're playing one-on-one.
No.
So, anyway, we've got to quit throwing the ball away and go back and run Coach Brooks' offense and get back into the ball game doing that. Then we'll see what happens. But we got to guard them and quit throwing the ball away.
Yeah. And sometimes we have a tendency to keep on that track.
If we do,
we won't be going to Owensboro.
We'll be going, but it'll only be on Friday.
Right. All righty, we'll take a break and come back with the third quarter handoff after this timeout. Your halftime score, Mason 39, Harrison 26. You're listening to Thoroughbred Basketball on WCY. the hilltop. Harrison County has a 13-point hill to climb if they want to get back in this game against a very good Mason County squad. Class 2A sectional championship game. The winner will move on to the Class 2A state tournament, where next Thursday at 3 o'clock, they'll take on the winner of the Callaway County-Webster County game. Mason County will have the ball to begin things. Mitchell gets the ball on the right side to Henry. In between the circles to Beerley. To the left side to Mitchell. Down low to Henry. Henry gets it back out top to Butler. Butler fakes the three. Now returns the ball into the hands of Mitchell, who will reset the offense from inside the center circle. Hands it off to Walton, who had a big first half with 11 points. Walton now to the left side to Henry. Henry wraparound pass on the baseline to Mitchell. Mitchell back to Henry. Henry beyond the arc, gets it to Beerley at the top of the key, to the right side in front of the Mason County bench to Walton. Back up top to Henry for a three-pointer. Good! Terrell Henry's first tray of the game opens the scoring here in the second half as Harrison County down 42-26. Yeah, that's all we need is for him to heat up. Now a steal by Mason. 3-on-1 break. Mitchell to the basket, lays it up and in. Harrison County now down by 18, just like that.
They dribble the ball off their feet, coming up the floor.
Unbelievable. Into the front court with the basketball comes Custer, dumps it down low, intended for Harris, knocked it out of bounds by Butler. So the Thoroughbreds will maintain possession. Harrison 7-4 on the year. Mason 12-3. From his own baseline, Carpenter to trigger the inbounds pass. Gets it in the corner to Custer. Custer drives to the block. His shot off the glass is good. First points of the second half for Harrison County as they get back to within 16 at 44-28. Up the floor with the basketball come the Royals. That's Mitchell being guarded by Carpenter. Mitchell crosses over his dribble, gets it down to the block. His shot off the glass is good. Well, you got to stand in front of somebody if you want to pick up a charge.
Yep.
As Harrison County finds themselves down by 18 once again at 46-28. 6:22 left in the third. Custer goes to the block, and I'm not sure what that was. Passes out to Hinton for a long three. Short. Rebound pulled down by Kendall. Kendall to Custer, who lays up and in. So give JD both an offensive rebound and an assist, and the basket to Caden. Makes it a 46-30 game. Now we need a defensive stop. In the front court with the basketball with under 6 to go in the third quarter is Henry. Henry drifts over to the far hash mark. Now gets it up to the top of the key on a pass to Butler to the right side in front of his own bench to Walton. Walton to Beerley in between the circles. Now to the far hash mark to Mitchell once again. Mitchell, baseball pass to Butler. Butler to the near side to Henry. Now back up top to Beerley. Left side, Walton long range. Walton between the circles finds Butler. Butler lobs the ball in front of his own bench to Henry. Henry takes a couple of dribbles, gets it over to the far side to Walton once again. Walton to the top of the key to Beerley. Right now, Mason just content to play keep away, leading 46-30 with 5 minutes left to go in the third quarter. Henry with the basketball, moves to the top of the key where he gets the ball to Butler, to the left side to Mitchell, long range, fakes the three, moves inside the arc on the left elbow side, now gets to Beerley, to the right side to Walton once again. Walton in between the circles to Butler, to the left side, he'll find Henry. Henry being hounded by Hinton, gets the ball in the corner. Here's a 16-footer put up by Butler, good. So after all that, Mason Butler gets his team up 48-30 on that little baseline 15-footer.
It doesn't matter who got tired first. We got tired first of playing defense.
Now a steal by Mason. Butler gets the ball to Beerley. His shot's no good, but a foul on Custard will send Beerley to the line. For Philip Beerley, he's 1 for 2 from the charity stripe tonight. Can make it a 20-point game if he makes these free throws. Mason's just plain outplayed us tonight.
Yeah, we've made just way too many mistakes.
First free throw by the junior is on the way and good.
One thing about it, that last time they had the ball, they showed more patience.
Yes.
And just, I don't know if our boys can do that.
Not tonight. Garrett Wilson checks in for Harrison, 5'11" sophomore. Second free throw for Beerley upcoming. Is on the way by the lefty and good, and it's a 20-point game as the Royals lead 50-30. Inbounds pass comes to Carpenter. Carpenter races up the floor and now drops the ball, but gets it to Kendall. But first we're going to have a foul on Mason. Foul was on Beerley?
I think so.
So that'd be
35.
Yes. That'll be Beerley's third foul. Kendall inbounds the ball to Custard. Our fans very quiet across the way, seeing their team trail 50-30 midway through this third quarter. Kendall in between the circles, dribbles to the left side, gets the ball to Custard, skip past to Carpenter at the block. Carpenter turnaround jumper, good. 6 points for Clay. And maybe now we can start the comeback. Harrison trailing 50-32. And now a shot put up and good.
Royals basket, Walton.
Three-pointer.
By Walton. Three-pointer. His first three-pointer of the second half and his fourth overall. Makes it 53-32. In the front court, here's a pass intended for Custard, knocked out of bounds by Mason County, so Harrison will maintain possession. From in front of his own bench, Hinton to trigger the inbounds pass, gets the ball to Carpenter. Carpenter against Mitchell, goes to the elbow, now backs it up beyond three-point range. Now drifts to the right, reverses to the left, drops the ball, and the loose ball picked up by Mitchell. He'll get the ball to Henry. Henry to the basket from the block, shot no good. Rebound pulled down by Wilson. He'll get the ball into the hands of Custard, who will race into the front court. Custard from the elbow, a runner is short, and the rebound's chased down by Henry on the offside. He'll get the ball to Mitchell. 3:15 left to go in the third. Harrison still trailing 53-32. Our largest deficit of the night. On the right side, Walton gets up top to Henry. Henry in the corner to Butler for a three-point try. Rims out. Rebound pulled down by Custard. Now we need to convert on the other end. Caden with the basketball on the right side, races to the block, has it back tapped away from behind and stolen by Walton. Walton being harassed in the backcourt by Custard, brings it into the front court. Walton in the paint, drops the ball, but they're going to say it was because of a kick by Kendall. Smiley will return to the floor now for the Thoroughbreds. 2:44 left to go in the third, and it seems like that clock is winding down awfully fast.
But maybe not fast enough.
Well, this is true, too. 21 points down as Harrison County. Inbounds pass comes to Mitchell, who lays it in.
Royals basket, Mitchell.
16 points for Mitchell.
6 out of 9 this quarter.
Gosh.
Well, they're shooting layups other than
yeah.
threes.
55-32. In the front court with the basketball, Kendall from the foul line. Dumps it down low to Wilson, who puts it up and in.
Basket, Wilson.
First points to the night for Garrett. On a nice pass that time by Kendall. But still, Harrison County trailing 55-34. 2:13 left to go in the third. Here's a long three, short this time by Henry. Rebound is pulled down by Beerley. You'll get it to Walton, who is going to be fouled by Custard. If my figures are correct, that's 4 on Caden. Hamilton checks back into the game now for the Royals, as does Julius Booker.
Number 22, Booker.
Harrison County Farm Bureau knows that if you want something protected, you keep it covered. Call 234-4514, and Dustin or Amy will get you covered. Richard Harris will check in now for Custard. From his own baseline, Hamilton to trigger the inbounds pass. Hamilton looking, bodies hitting the floor. And now we're going to have a timeout called by Mason County. 2:02 left to go in the third quarter. Your score, Mason County 55, Harrison County 34. You're listening to Thoroughbred Basketball on WC. Alrighty, back at the Hilltop as we get back to action. Mason County with the ball, leading by 21 out of the timeout. Hamilton gets the ball to Henry. His shot's no good and will go out of bounds off of the Thoroughbreds.
I believe Garrett Wilson blocked that shot.
Yeah, well, the whistle, I think, sounded before he got contact. So, from his own baseline to trigger the inbounds pass will be Mitchell. Gets it to Henry in the corner. You know, they've gotten this big lead with Henry getting 7 points.
I know it.
Booker races into the paint, drops the ball. Loose ball picked up by Wilson. Garrett in the front court goes coast to coast. His layup is no good. Rebound pulled down by Harris. His putback is good. 10 points for Richard Harris, and on the putback, gets his team back to within 19 at 55-36. We'll take anything we can get at this point. 1:35 left to go in the third. Now a pass errant is going to be tipped away by Wilson. Everybody else was watching it about to fly out of bounds, but Wilson took initiative and got it into his team's hands. In the front court, Smiley has it pocket picked by Henry. As Henry comes up the floor, he's going to get a little love shove from Mason Smiley. That'll be Mason's first personal foul. 1:18 to go in the third. As Carpenter will check back into the game. He'll be coming in for Kendall. From just to the left of his bench at the hash mark on the near side, Henry will trigger the inbounds pass. Henry looking, lobs it down low to Mitchell. Mitchell then gets it back up top to Booker, who fakes the three and gets it back to Mitchell in between the circles. He'll move to the inside or the center circle to reset things. Mitchell drives past Smiley to the baseline. Now kicks it on the wing to Henry. Henry back between the circles to Butler to the left side to Hamilton. Hamilton gets it to Henry on the near side. We are under a minute to go here in the third. Now Booker drives baseline. Reverse layup is no good, but a foul is going to be called on Carpenter. For Clay, that'll be his first personal foul. Two-shot foul will send Booker to the line. Booker 2 for 4 from the charity stripe tonight. Goes there with 54 seconds left to go in this period. First is off the mark, no good, as Walton checks back in. Cynthiana Hardee's has made from scratch breakfast options and the best burgers in town. Hardee's is a proud supporter of Reds and Phillies basketball. Also, Beerley back in the game for the Royals. As we said, they've had great success on this floor, winning 22 and losing 11 to the Reds here on the Hilltop. Second free throw's also no good, and Hinton goes in there and gets the rebound. Braylon will bring the ball into the front court. Sophomore spins in between the circles. Now gets over to the right side. Ball knocked away, and the loose ball picked up by Hamilton. Hamilton to the basket, lays it up and in. Where was our transition defense? Not to be found.
That's 18 turnovers.
Unbelievable. Into the front court. Here's a three put up no good by the Reds, and the rebound pulled down by Walton. His pass down to the far end of the floor is knocked back and bounced by Booker. Now the ball caroming away like a pinball, and Harrison County comes up with the basketball. Carpenter with it now, forces up a shot and good. 8 points now for Clay with 10 seconds left. 7 seconds. 6 seconds with the basketball. Racing to the basket is Walton. Wraparound pass to Beerley. His shot no good with 0.1 seconds on the clock, and he's fouled and will go to the line for two. Foul's going to be called on Hinton. That'll be Braylon's first. So going to the line.
At the line for the Royals, 35, Beerley, shooting two.
Will be Beerley. Beerley is 2 for 3 from the line tonight. His team up 57-38. First free throw is good. Back in the game, Royce returns. He came in with like a second to go in the first half. Now he comes in with 0.1 seconds to go here in the third quarter.
Yeah, letter winner.
Yeah. Second free throw for Beerley is good as well. And that will bring us to the end of the third quarter of play with your score, Mason County 59, Harrison County 38. You're listening to Thoroughbred Basketball on WCYN Sports. Alrighty, back here on the hilltop, the championship game of section number 5 in the Class 2A sectional. Harrison County trailing Mason 59-38. The winner moves on to the state Class 2A tournament, which will be held next weekend up in Owensboro or over in Owensboro. And right now, we're at halftime. We had a 13-point hill to climb. We now have a 21-point mountain to climb to come back in this game.
And we have 10 more turnovers than they do.
Oh, unbelievable.
18-8.
Kendall with the basketball in the paint. Stops. Pops from the elbow. High off the flange. No good. Rebound pulled down by Royce. We get the ball into the front court to Beerley. Beerley gets it in between the circles now to Walton. Walton with 14 points. Bryan Station transfer, Eaton, Harrison County alive. Hamilton races to the basket. His high layup is going to roll off. And Furnish comes down with the rebound. Got to score, though. We got to score about every possession now. Kendall with the basketball at the top of the key. Stops at the elbow extended. Gets it between the circles of Carpenter. Carpenter moves down to the baseline. Forces up a 12-footer, no good. Offside rebound. Pulled in this time by Beerley. Beerley gets the ball to Walton. Walton in the front court on the wing. Crosses over his dribble. Now kicks it up top to Beerley. Now to the far side, long range to Hamilton. Hamilton to Beerley. To the right side finds Booker. Booker to the top of the key to Royce. Royce to Hamilton. Hamilton drives, steps inside the arc. Now gets it back outside the arc on that far side. Once again to Royce. Skip pass in the corner. Finds Booker. Booker to the basket. Layup is no good. Rebound pulled down by Garrett Wilson. So here comes Harrison County the other way, but the clock down to 6.5. 59-38. 59-38 Mason lead. Here's a pass drop down to Furnish. His half hook is good. 6 points for Will in the game. It's Harrison County back to within 19 at 59-40. On the right side, long range with the basketball is Royce. Gets it up top to Beerley. Beerley drives to the block. His shot no good. Rebound pulled down this time by Kendall. Kendall outlet pass as Carpenter races away, misses the shot. Might have been partially blocked. Hamilton comes down with the rebound. In the front court, Hamilton to the basket, blocked by Furnish. Rebound pulled down by Carpenter. So up the floor we go once again. And Wilson drops the ball but picks it back up to Smiley up top. Here's a long three by Kendall. Good. JD with a long-range tray, and Coach Kirk has seen quite enough. Calls timeout with 5:47 left, and his team leading 59-43. You're listening to Thoroughbred Basketball on WSC. Top Harrison County has narrowed the gap, but still trail by 16. Well, if you've been thinking about a farm or machinery loan, call Michael Furnish with Farm Credit Mid-America at 859-254-2741 and learn how he can help you. Now the timeout. Mason will be facing full court pressure. Henry will try to get the ball in bounds, which he does, to Walton. Walton to Mitchell. Mitchell brings the ball up the floor against the pressure of Smiley. Crosses the timeline on the near side of the midcourt circle. Goes in front of his own bench, and now we're going to have a foul away from the basketball, an offensive foul on Walton. So give the ball back to the Thoroughbreds. Kendall will inbounds it to Custard, who's back in the game. But remember, Caden with 4 personal fouls. Kendall across the timeline on the far sideline, moves to the wing. Gets it to over Harris's head, but luckily Smiley is there to pick it up. Smiley now picks up his own dribble in trouble. Gets the ball to Custard near the timeline. Caden now races to the top of the key, to the elbow, to the block. His shot blocked from behind by Butler, but they're going to call Butler for his third personal foul. He and Beerley each with 3, the only 2 Royals in any kind of foul trouble. Custard going to the line where he's 2 for 2. Caden a dozen points to lead his team. First free throw at the 5:15 mark is on the way and good. As the Thoroughbreds slowly sneak closer. Not going to say back into it yet because we're not that far, but another defensive stop, a basket, and at least we can see the light.
Moving right along after.
Second free throw is rimming out, no good. Rebound pulled down by Beerley. So with the basketball coming up the floor will be Henry. Henry lobs it, and it's off of the hand of Mitchell out of bounds. So good defensive pressure by the Thoroughbreds. At least some of our fans are starting to clap when something good happens.
Yeah.
Maybe by the time this thing is all said and done, we'll have them all standing. With the basketball, Custard being tracked by Walton.
Other than to leave.
Exactly.
Yes.
Custard hands the ball off to Kendall. Kendall now between the circles, moves to the elbow, stops on the wing, finds Custard. Custard drives, kicks it back out beyond the arc to Harris. And as Harris goes to the block, he's going to be fouled. Losing the battle of the charge block that time was Butler. That'll be 4 fouls on Mason Butler. Now, Butler has only scored a couple of points, but still a key cog in the machine of this Royals offense. Now, time call by Harrison County. We'll take it as well. 4:43 left to go. Your score, Mason County 59, Harrison County 44. You're listening to Thoroughbred Basketball on WC. Back here at the Hilltop, out of the timeout, Harrison County will have the basketball as Mason Smiley will trigger it from his own baseline. Harrison down by 15. They've trailed by as many as 21. Smiley looking, gets the ball to Harris. Harris drives to the paint. The little floater is no good, and the rebound's going to be dug out of there by Henry. Up the floor into the front court comes Terrell. 7 points, 7 boards for him tonight. Henry now gets it in the corner to Butler, long range. Back out top to Mitchell. Mitchell guarded by Smiley. We're going to have to start attacking a little bit closer. Mitchell goes into the paint. Gets it down low to Beerley. Back on the wing to Butler. Fires a 3. Air ball. But grabbing the loose ball is Walton. Bounces it off a leg of Smiley out of bounds. And Mason County will maintain possession. Good heads-up play that time by Walton as Carpenter checks back in. Treat yourself to some snappy salads, chicken wings, and sandwiches, and, of course, Beast Pizza. Call 235-7627 right now. That's 235
Beast, or Snap, sorry.
Beast! Beast! Oh, Ryan is over here laughing at you. Beast. Gosh, how many times have we done this? I'm going to have to take your license away.
Not very many, right.
Mitchell with the basketball in the front court, just kind of dribbling away. Gets it to Beerley. Beerley back to Mitchell. All this happening 30 feet from the basket. Mitchell now drives inside the arc, looking for help. Finds Beerley at the top of the key. Beerley backs up inside the center circle as the clock is down to 3:40. Harrison still down by 15. Pass to the far sideline. He'll get the ball to Henry. Henry back over on the far side to Beerley. Beerley being tracked by Furnish near the timeline. Now takes off inside the arc to the block. kicks it to Butler. He loses control as he dives into his own bench. He can't control it, so give the ball back to Harrison County.
Into the line for Harrison County, number 20, Wilson.
You know,
Garrett Wilson back in the game.
I don't understand this philosophy. They're playing with us, beating us at the game, and then they quit playing.
I don't understand it either, and it's been proven not to work many, many times, especially in college basketball.
Well, yeah, you stop playing, the other team catches up.
But we've got to make our shots. Inbounds pass comes to Carpenter. Back to Kendall, who will bring it into the front court. JD stops on the right side, now goes to the block, but before he can get there, though, he's going to be fouled by Henry. Now it'll be Terrell's first foul of the game. It's also team foul number 5, as each has 5 team fouls now. 3:17 left to go. That's the big number. From his own baseline, Carpenter trying to get the ball in bounds. He finds Custard in the corner. Custard back in between the circles to Wilson, to the right side to Carpenter for 3. Good! Clay with his first tray of the game. And Harrison County is back to within a dozen at 59-47. And now as we come into the front court, we're going to have a foul called on Harrison County. It's going to be against Carpenter. That'll be Clay's second. I'm going to say a non-shooting foul as Walton takes it out from his own baseline.
They haven't scored this quarter.
Walton lobs it, knocked away. Loose ball picked up by Wilson. Outlet pass to Custard. Caden drives and lays it in. And just like that, Harrison County back to within 10. Timeout Mason will take it as well. 2:56 left to go, your score. Mason County 59, Harrison County 49. You're listening to Thoroughbred Basketball on WC. On the hilltop, the Thoroughbreds have scored 11 unanswered points to get back to within 10 at 59-49.
It's like somebody announced to Mason County that the barbecue places in Owensboro are closed. Don't come.
I guess.
Yeah, they quit playing.
Oh, crap. Well, I don't go to Owensboro now.
Yeah, it's not even, they're open. Don't let that confuse you. We'll go.
Full court pressure being applied by the Breds. Henry inbounds it to Mitchell. Mitchell still in the backcourt. Now races up the far sideline into the front court. Gets it in the corner to Hamilton. Hamilton lobs the ball to Walton. Walton turned down the long 3. I don't think Mason's going to shoot unless it's a layup. And now a foul on Garrett Wilson. And that will send Mason to the line for 1 and the bonus. It's going to be Walton, who's 2 for 2 from the charity stripe tonight. As we said, Walton, the transfer from Bryan Station.
It's been a while since he's been there, though.
Yeah, it was back in the first half, the second quarter when he was there before. First free throw is good, though, to stop the 11-point run.
He unfortunately remembered how to shoot it.
Yes. Makes it 60-49. With 2:43 on the clock. The second free throw by number 5 is also good. Gives him 16, and his team a dozen-point lead at 61-49. Into the front court, Custard to Kendall. Kendall, top of the key for the open 3 try. Good! JD with his second tray here in the fourth quarter cuts the deficit down to single digits at 61-52. 2:26 on the clock. Mitchell gets the ball to Butler on the right side. Back out top to Mitchell once again. Mitchell being guarded by Carpenter. Now in front of his own bench. Nearly double team, but dribbles out of it. And they got the 5-second call, or count on him, but he gets the ball to Butler. Butler to the far sideline to Walton, long range. Walton directing traffic. As Garrett Wilson comes up and bodies him as we hit the 2-minute mark. Walton's double teamed, and now 5-second call gives the ball to the Breds. And Coach Kirk, I think he was about to throw that chair, but decides against it. Kendall gets the ball inbounds to Custer.
He was trying to call timeout, and Raymond Lightfoot said nope.
Might be. Custard across the timeline. Being hounded out there by Walton. Gets the ball in the corner to Kendall for a three. Yes! Long range tray by J.D. Kendall has gotten Harrison County back to within 6 at 61-55. Timeout Harrison County will take it as well. You're listening to Harrison County Basketball on W. Back here at the Hilltop, Harrison County has outscored Mason in the first 6.5 minutes of this fourth quarter, 17-2. And now Mason facing full court pressure. Inbounds pass comes to Mitchell. Still 1:40 on the clock. Big possession for both teams, this time down the floor for the Royals. Mitchell near the timeline, goes to the top of the key. Now backs up. Near the timeline, gets it inside the center circle to Henry. Henry lobs the ball inside to Hamilton. Hamilton back on the wing to Butler, now to Henry. Henry gets the ball in the corner, knocked away. Steal, Custard to Carpenter. Carpenter to the basket, yes! Clay Carpenter with the bucket on the outlet pass, and Harrison County is back to within 4 at 61-57. Now on the opposite end of the floor, going in for a shot will be Walton, but a foul is going to be called on Harrison County. And if my figures are correct, that's going to be 5 on Caden. So Custard will foul out, having scored 15 points, but his team trailing 61-57. And Walton going to the line. Walton is 4 for 4 from the charity stripe here tonight. First one's on the way and bounces in. Took a little shot off of the front of the rim before finally falling in. It's only the third point scored by these guys here in the fourth quarter. But time running short, 106. Second free throw by Walton is also good.
Got to foul somebody else.
Yep. Puts his team back up by 6, 63-57. Carpenter in the backcourt with the basketball, comes up the floor against Mitchell's defense.
Somebody else handle the ball.
Yes.
You got to have Clay coming off the pass.
Carpenter nearly turned the ball over. And now gets the ball to Harris. Harris goes into the paint. Short shot, no. Rebound is going to be picked up by Wilson. Wilson gets the ball in the corner keeps it himself. His 12-footer on the baseline is no good. And on the rebound, we're going to have a foul called on the Thoroughbreds. With 41 seconds on the clock, 63-57. Foul is going to be on Harris, and that'll be Richard's second. So a couple of key possessions by both teams. On one end, Mason was able to make 2 free throws. On the back end, we could not make the shot. Henry going to the line for the first time, but first, a timeout called by the Breds. It's just a 30-second timeout, so we'll keep it right here. So it's not over yet, but we're running out of time since it's a 2-possession game, and if they make at least one of these free throws, it'll make it a 3-possession game, and that would make it almost impossible, Mike.
Losing Caden really hurts us right there. Because, this Clay dribbles, he can't get the ball in the offense.
Right. Yeah, Caden just races up the floor.
Clay needs to be one of the guys coming off of a pick or something and getting the shot. So, I don't know, but our options are to put Mason back in the game. He's not a scoring threat, at least not tonight.
Yeah.
And that's about all our choices are. So we're going to have to play with what we got. That's
Yep.
unfortunately the rules. You can't play with what everybody else has.
Henry at the line. It's going to be one in the bonus. He'll have to make the first to earn a second try. We've held Henry down. He came in averaging nearly 25 points. He has 7 tonight.
Yeah, he hadn't done anything. But I think part of that's our defense and part of that's their offense.
Yeah. Their offense was clicking without him, so why change? First free throw is good, and that makes it a 3-possession game.
Trouble is we're putting the wrong. You can't help it. You got to foul who's got the ball.
Exactly.
But the wrong guys.
Second free throw by the junior is up and good as well. 65-57. With the basketball, Wilson in the backcourt gets it to Kendall. Kendall will bring the ball up against the pressure of Hamilton. Nearly turned it over in the backcourt. Now moves to the wing. It's knocked away from behind and stolen by Butler, who goes all the way the other way and lays it in. Mason Butler on the steal and layup. Puts his team up by 10, 67-57, with time running out. Just 17 seconds. Kendall fires up an off-balance three, misses everything. And with the rebound coming into Walton's hand, he's going to be fouled. 10 seconds left, and Mason County appears to be going to the Class 2A state tournament. Foul is on Carpenter. That's Clay's third. Well, that 17-2 run was nice, but...
Yep. Just got our hopes up.
Yeah, actually it was a 19-2 run.
2 shots now where they're in the double bonus.
Yeah.
Shooting 2.
And Walton at the line, 6 for 6. Making 6 for 7 as he misses that first one, but with the double bonus, he will get another try.
10 seconds. We're not going to make 8 points or 10 points.
Yeah.
Or 11 if he makes his.
Second free throw is going to be good. Makes it 68-57. Here's an air ball that's picked up by Henry. He'll dribble out the clock, and that will be your ball game. Mason County wins by a final score of 68-57 to improve to 13-3 on the year and moves on to the Class 2A state tournament. Meanwhile, Harrison County 7-5 and will not get to go to Owensboro this year. Disappointing loss. It mainly happened because of a very poor first half, especially first quarter when we committed 8 mostly unforced turnovers. But be that as it may, we invite you to stay tuned now for our post-game show brought to you by MCTC, the Licking Valley campus. Go over all the scoring and stats. Talk to Coach Brooks and get his opinion on what happened tonight, as well as name our Judy Construction Company player of the game. All that coming up after this timeout. But once again, in the championship game of the Class 2A sectional, your final score, Mason County 68, Harrison County 57. You've been listening to Thoroughbred Basketball on WCY. Alrighty, back here at the Hilltop, the Mason County Royals are the Section 5 champions for 2022 and will advance to the Class 2A state tournament in Owensboro next week by virtue of a 68-57 win over the Harrison County Thoroughbreds tonight. Disappointing loss for the Breds, a game that was lost, as we talked about, in the first quarter when we made multiple turnovers, just time after time after time, and allowed the Royals to go on an 11-0 run, which was all part of what would eventually be a 20-4 run that put them up at that time 25-14. They eventually would get the lead to as much as 21 going into the fourth quarter, and just about everybody who was still here thought the Breds were dead. But then a furious, an absolutely furious 19-2 run led by J.D. Kendall's 3 3-pointers and 5 points off of the hand of Clay Carpenter got the Thoroughbreds back to within 4 at 61-57 with still a minute 14 on the clock. But that's when Caden Custard fouled out, and Harrison County would not score again as the Royals made their free throws down the stretch, scoring the last 7 points in a row to make the final margin 11 points at 68-57. Mason County now 13-3 on the year, while the Thoroughbreds are at 7-5. Take a look at the individual scoring tonight. First for Mason County, they were paced by Christian Walton with 19 points, including 4 3-pointers, and more important than that, 5 out of 6 from the free throw line down the stretch. 16 points for Nate Mitchell. Also scoring 9 points for Terrell Henry. Braylon Hamilton came off the bench, came in averaging only 6 points a game. He had a very important 10, 8 of those coming in the first half when Mason County was building their initial big lead. And just checking here something to see if that is, no, it's not, so never mind. 5 points each for Philip Beerley and Julius Booker, 4 points for Mason Butler. Also playing but not scoring, Carter McClanahan, Landon Seeley, and Logan Royce. Meanwhile, 4 different Thoroughbreds get in double figures tonight. Leading the way, Caden Custer with his 15 before fouling out with a minute 14 on the clock. Mark that down too. 13 points for Clay Carpenter, including a 3. 11 points for J.D. Kendall, including those 3 3-pointers I talked about in the fourth quarter. And 10 points off the bench for Richard Harris. Also scoring for the Breds, Will Furnish had 6, and 2 points were put in by Garrett Wilson there in the third quarter. Also playing but not scoring, Braylon Hinton. That's a big number there. Blaine Biddle and Mason Smiley, all those kids did not score tonight. We'll take a break and have Mike take a look at the team stats following this timeout. But once again, your final score from here on the Hilltop, Mason County 68, Harrison County 57. You've been listening to Thoroughbred Basketball on WC. Alrighty, back here at the Hilltop, Harrison County falls 68-57. We've already gone over the individual numbers. How did the team stats look there, Mike?
Well, for the Royals, they shot the ball 47 times, made 22 of them for 47%. 8 out of 18 from the three-point line for 44%. 16 out of 22 foul shots, which is pretty good. 73%. Yeah. 14 turnovers. They had 9 turnovers in the second half.
Wow.
We 6 of them in the fourth
quarter.
Then they had 19 rebounds, 10 defensive, 9 offensive. Of course, the rebounds are skewed a little bit by the number of turnovers.
Yeah.
For Harrison County shot the ball 50 times, which is actually 3 more than Mason. Made 23 of them for 46%. But they just had 4 out of 10 from the three-point line, all 4 of them in the fourth quarter. So that was 40%, 4 out of 10. Only 10 free throws for the game, made 7 of them, 70%. Got to get the line more.
Yes.
19 turnovers, 12 in the first half, 7 in the second half, 7 in the first quarter. That's
a killer.
When you make as many turnovers in the first quarter as you do the whole second half, you're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
26 rebounds. We out-rebounded them 26-19. 18 defensive and 8 offensive rebounds. So
18 offensive?
no, 18
18
defensive.
defensive.
8,
Oh, okay.
8 offensive.
Gotcha.
Turnovers is in the short and long of it.
Yeah.
Turnovers and the inability to get to the foul line.
Right.
They shot 12 more free throws than we did, and they made their free throws. And you know, maybe all the rest of those boys are good foul shooters too,
Mm-hmm.
but the people we fouled sure were.
Yeah.
But like you know, when it's the end of the game and they get the rebound, you can't wait for them to throw it to somebody who can't shoot because first of all you don't know there is that guy.
Yeah.
And secondly, you don't have time.
Just don't
to
have
wait.
time, right?
So, you know, you just can't get behind a team like that.
Yeah.
But again, we did not lay down,
Nope.
at least as a unit,
Yeah.
like we did at
Clark County.
So that's encouraging, if nothing else. But this team is not Clark County.
No. No, they're not.
They, you know, having not seen them play any more than I have, I hesitate to say much, except the fact that if Henry's supposed to be so good, why don't they get him the daggone ball?
Yeah. In fact, at times it seemed like they were going away from it.
Yeah. And maybe, you know, and who knows
Yeah.
what goes on in the dynamic of a high school kid's mind.
Right.
Maybe they're tired of hearing about 24 points a game.
Maybe so. All right, we'll take another timeout, come back, and name our Judy Construction Company player of the game, as well as talk to Coach Brooks. You've been listening to Thoroughbred Basketball on WC1.
Dealing with the real world wasn't easy, even before the whole global pandemic thing. Trying to pay the bills, worrying about family, or just trying to figure out what you want to be. The good news? Maysville Community and Technical College is open and ready, with on-campus and online programs that can lead to essential careers in IT, healthcare, and more, all at less than half the cost of a four-year university. So never put your dreams on hold, and never underestimate you.
Harrison County loses by a final score of 68-57. We're going to name our Judy Construction Company player of the game, J.D. Kendall. J.D. with 11 points on the night with 7 rebounds. He also dished out a couple of assists, but 3 huge threes in the fourth quarter got Harrison County back into it after trailing by 21, cut the deficit down to 4 with just over a minute left, but that was as close as the Thoroughbreds would get. So congratulations once again, J.D. Kendall, our Judy Construction Company player of the game. But it will be Mason County now that will move on to the Class 2A state tournament. They'll play at 3 o'clock on Thursday against the winner of the game down in section number 1 between Callaway County and Webster County. The Lakers and the Trojans played earlier today, so that's who Mason County will face down there in Owensboro. Now, earlier today, the Harrison County Phillies punched their ticket to the Class 2A state tournament by virtue of a 34-31 grinded out game against a very good Mason County Lady Royal squad. So Coach Marshall and her charges will go on down to Owensboro. The first round of the girls will be on Friday as the Phillies will take on Rowan County, the Lady Vikings, coming out of section number 8. That game for the Phillies will be at 7:30 on Friday. Now, if you look on line, you'll see it says 6:30. That's 6:30 local time, and Owensboro is an hour behind us. So 7:30 on Friday night, the Phillies will take on Rowan County. So congratulations to them. But I don't know. Just too many turnovers, too many missed opportunities, and I'm sure that Coach Brooks is having a little heart-to-heart with his kids back there now. You just can't do what we did against good teams. And by that I'm talking about not so much the turnovers, which I'm talking about turnovers, but specifically unforced turnovers. Just too many times where we did it to ourselves, and that cannot continue. Mason County is a good enough team that they'll take advantage, and that's exactly what they did. So congratulations to them. Mason County did what they had to win, and Harrison County, like you said, Mike, has just got to stop turning the ball over so many times.
Especially early in the game, you get hopelessly, not obviously wasn't hopelessly because we came back, but nearly hopelessly behind when you turn the ball over.
Right.
And that allows them to do a lot of things. They played into our hands in many ways, quitting playing and holding the ball, and they did that some in the first half too. But in the fourth quarter, they just stopped altogether.
Yeah, right.
And we fortunately kept on playing, and had Caden been able to stay on the floor.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's part of it. You're only allowed 5 fouls.
Right.
If NBA, one more foul, we'd have been all right. But, it's a credit to us, though, like I say, that we didn't lay down as a unit like we did in Clark.
Right.
So there's something to be said for that. And, we'll just have to tell them how good the barbecue was.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe make that taste so much that they'll turn the season to where we win every game from here on out.
Yeah, I'm taking Cece with me so she can tell her friends that are playing ball that, dang, you should have had that Owensboro barbecue, man.
You had your chance, man, but you just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Maybe even bring some back and put it on their desk so they could smell how good it was.
Bring some not rendezvous, that's Memphis. What's
the Moonlight.
Moonlight, they have it in jars, the barbecue sauce. Bring back a jar of Moonlight sauce on the desk.
Yeah, so next time.
Yes.
But not a lot of time to mourn about this loss, as the Thoroughbreds will have a couple of games next week, starting on Tuesday when Covenant Scott comes to town. Of course, it seems like we always have trouble with Scott. And then we're scheduled to play Campbell County on Friday. I assume that game will still be going on. But that's the good thing about basketball is you don't have long to think too much about a loss or a win, whichever one it is. Just get back on the floor and come out and try to do better the next time.
Yep. And that's all we can do because it's too late to do anything now.
All right. We'll take one more break and then come back and talk to Coach Brooks. You've been listening to Thoroughbred Basketball on WCY.
Dealing with the real world wasn't easy, even before the whole global pandemic thing. Trying to pay the bills, worrying about family, or just trying to figure out what you want to be. The good news? Maysville Community and Technical College is open and ready, with on-campus and online programs that can lead to essential careers in IT, healthcare, and more, all at less than half the cost of a 4-year university. So never put your dreams on hold, and never underestimate you.
Alrighty, back here on the hilltop, Harrison County's Thoroughbreds lose by a final score of 68-57 to the Mason County Royals. Harrison County now 7-5 on the year, while Mason County improves to 13-3 as Coach Case is about to join us now and let him get all mic'd up and ready to go. But Coach, a great comeback in the fourth quarter, but we never should have been in that position in the first place.
No. We just had some guys who weren't ready to play the first half, came out a little scared, couldn't handle the ball, and you can't dig yourself a hole like that against a quality opponent. Yes, we came back and made it a game, but, just can't put ourselves in that situation. And disappointing, but all we can do is learn from it and move on.
A bunch of unforced turnovers in that first quarter just really doomed us.
Yeah, and it wasn't like they were sending fancy traps or complicated schemes at us. It was just man to man, and we couldn't bring the ball up. That's the most frustrating part, is that it wasn't anything scheme wise. It was just man on man, and they were better than us tonight.
How do you explain why we came out so flat?
Not sure, and apparently. When I was on with you this morning, the guys were still finishing up practicing meeting when I came down, and apparently, the message at the end of the meeting was if you're not ready and you don't want to compete for a championship, then don't come tonight. And we had some guys that were here physically but not here mentally, so maybe they checked out. And but as frustrating as it was, as frustrating as us not getting with the ball off the court and turnovers and things like that. We still saw a little bit of fight.
Yes.
And that's something to be positive about, and hopefully we can build off that. And, I told the guys in the locker room, I said, there's no difference talent-wise between us and Mason County. The only difference was they've got about 9 or 10 guys that were ready for a challenge, and we had about 2 or 3.
Yeah. So
that's the only difference tonight. And if we can get everybody on the same page and ready for a challenge every night, I think we're a really good ball team.
Oh, yeah.
But tonight showed if we only have a couple guys ready, then we're not a very good ball team.
Right, and that's going to happen throughout the rest of our schedule. Like we talked about before, this is such a challenging schedule for our team, and so far I think we've done very well with the exception of the Clark County game. But, we got to have not just 3 guys. We got to have 10 guys ready to go.
That's right. It's got to be everybody. And, kind of like we talked about this morning, we need somebody, it doesn't matter who it is, to step up and be that leader and say, okay, this is not going to work. This is not happening tonight. Let's get everybody together. Let's go. because they hear it from the coaching staff all the time. They got to have it from each other, and when we have that, we'll really be rolling.
All right, Coach, I appreciate you stopping by, and we'll talk to you Tuesday when Scott comes to town.
Thank you.
All right. Assistant Thoroughbred basketball coach Andrew Case after Harrison County's 68-57 loss to the Mason County Royals here on the Hilltop in the Class 2A sectional championship game. I want to thank Mike for helping me out with both the color and the stats. Also want to thank our engineer back at the station, Mike Davis, as he always does a wonderful job. And as always, want to thank all of our sponsors, because without their help, we would not be able to get Harrison County High School basketball on the air. So once again, in the earlier game, in the girls' Class 2A sectional championship game, the Harrison County Phillies get past the Lady Royals of Mason County 34-31, and now will play at the state 2A tournament, which will be held next Friday at 7:30 for our girls. They'll take on Rowan County. And also the Thoroughbreds, their next game will be on Tuesday here on the Hilltop when Scott comes to town. So once again from the Hilltop, your final score for the final time, Mason County 68, Harrison County 57.